All right.
Thank you, Carly. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Abby Stamp, and I'm the Executive Director for Measure 110. My pronouns are she, her, and I'll be assisting Zeb today with facilitation for today's meeting. The Oversight and Accountability Council welcomes and encourages community input. Members of the public are invited to submit public comments or get on our interested parties email list by emailing oha.measure110@oha.oregon.gov. That email address and more information about the council can be found on the Measure 110 OAC website. OAC members have asked that OHA and other staff who are present in the meeting space, please introduce yourselves in the chat. Please share your role with the agency, and if you are a subject matter expert, your area of expertise. I'll now turn it over to Zeb for opening remarks.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the meeting, fellow council members, OHA staff, media members, public. Thank you for attending. We got one thing on the agenda today is taking a look at Multnomah County, the Cascade AIDS project application consideration. So that will be what we'll be focusing on today. And I think we'll start that after we do attendance. Would that be correct?
Yes, thank you, Zeb. Okay, Ami.
Here.
Hey, Ami. Amy.
I'm here.
Hey, Amy. Caroline is not here. Dharma.
Here.
Hey, Dharma. Hubert. Nope. Hunter. He told me he's not going to be in. Jackie. Josh. Keisha. Leticia.
I'm here.
Thank you. Linda.
Here.
Hi, Linda. Mason. Melissa.
Here.
Hey, Melissa.
Howdy.
Morgan. Ryan.
Here.
Hey, Ryan. Sabrina.
I'm here.
Hi, Sabrina. Zeb.
I'm here.
Hi, Zeb. Sam is not here. Annalise.
Here.
Hi, Annalise. And we have quorum at exactly 10. And I just saw Hubert just joined, so we have quorum at 11. Back to you, Zeb.
All right, so now it's back to me. Let's see. So are we ready for the presentation right now? All right, so on that presentation.
I'll take the reins with that.
All right, I'm kicking it back to Abby. Thank you, Abby.
Thanks, Zeb. It's nice to see everybody. It's been forever since we've been together. So we are back together today to rediscuss the applications for Multnomah County as a whole. So the first thing I'll do is do a call for conflict. And then we will jump into the conversation, but I will set the stage before we do that call for conflict. Because then I'll be sharing my screen and I won't be able to see folks. But what happened is that as you the OAC decided to prioritize funding existing grantees, so folks who have their doors open today, that those would be the primary focus and culturally specific organizations and services moving forward. And because of a name discrepancy, we missed that PRISM, which is an existing grantee, doing business is part of the Cascade AIDS Project organization. So PRISM applied as Cascade AIDS Project. We just missed with the difference. So Cascade AIDS Project as PRISM is an existing grantee. And so we need to go back in and rediscuss how to distribute the funds for Multnomah County. So that's what's ahead of us today. And my friend and math partner, Jason, is here to help support the conversation. All right, any questions before I share screen and we roll through a call for conflict for Multnomah County applications? Okay. I'm going to share first zoomed in so you can read everything, and then I'll zoom out to give bigger Okay, good. Whoa, everybody said one at the same time. It was great. Okay. So call for conflict. Here are the organizations. African Refugee Immigrant Organization, Allied Health Services Tiger, or CIC Health Oregon, LLC, Arbor House Portland, Autistic Women and Non-Binary Network, the Haymarket Pole Collective, Boulder Care Provider Group, Bridges to Change, Cascade AIDS Project, also known as PRISM. For this application, Cascadia Health, Cascadia Behavioral Healthcare, Central City Concern, CODA, Fora Health, Fresh Out Community-Based Reentry Program, Going Home to, Haven Counseling Collective, Helping Hands Reentry Outreach Centers, Iron Tribe Network, Juntos Northwest, LifeWorks Northwest, Lutheran Community Services Northwest, Mental Health and Addiction Association of Oregon, Metro Plus Association of Addiction Peer Professionals, Miracles Club, Morrison Child and Family Services, Mountain View Recovery, doing business as Knapp Street Recovery, Multnomah County Health Department, Native American Rehabilitation Association of the Latino de Adicciones, or El Jardín Recovery Centers, Northwest Treatment, Oregon Change Clinic, Oregon Health and Science University, Oregon Recovers, Outside In, Painted Horse Recovery, Pathfinders of Oregon, doing business as the Pathfinder Network, Portland Health Action Team, Portland Street Medicine, Project Patchwork, Project Quest, Quest Center for Integrative Health, Providence Portland Medical Center, Raphael Health of Portland, Recovery Works Northwest, Southeast Works, Sovalti, Fourth Dimension Recovery Center, Alana Club of Portland, Oregon, the Everly Project, Mariecki Institute, Transcending Hope, True Colors Recovery, Volunteers of America of Oregon, West Coast Sober Housing, Women First Transitional and Referral Center, and Yazine's Love. Are there any conflicts of interest with any of the providers I listed off? Ami?
Hi, everyone. Sadly, I cannot participate. I work over at the Miracles Club, but I definitely trust my colleagues to make, the right decision. And yeah, that's it.
Thanks, Ami. Linda?
I have a potential conflict of interest with Oregon Health and Science University because I work with them, but they're technically a public entity. So I was told that technically it's not a conflict, but definitely, I guess, potential. So, yes.
Thank you. Any others? Okay. So what I'm sharing now is this is where you all finished your voting and discussions whatever day that was, a week or two ago, and I don't really recall because we were together so many days in a row. But you started your conversation with existing providers only, just knowing that with many hundreds of millions of dollars being asked.
Which is working? You need a lighter, huh?
Oh, hey, Keisha. There she is. Keisha's here too. Um,
Hey.
Hey, Keisha, and I should be super transparent. We just did a call for conflict for Multnomah County providers, and I think you do have at least one conflict with Multnomah.
Yeah, I have a real conflict with the Miracles Club and Metro Plus.
Metro Plus. Okay, we are needing to readdress an application. So thank you for indicating those conflicts. Okay. So back to existing providers only. And so your discussion ended up adding African Refugee Immigrant Organization. And I'm going to take you over here to the cream colored columns. And I'm going to zoom in. So this is all old information here. See, this is where the motion was. And the percentage that each applicant would be awarded because of having to spread these dollars or amount to make sure that each existing provider got a piece of the pie. And it brought the total to $80 million. And just a reminder, folks, that the total asks were up over 300 million. So that is why so many of these conversations have been so challenging. And then I believe Zeb led the conversation to ensure that African Refugee Immigrant Organization providing culturally specific services was included, and they had that were added to that. And then what you'll see here along the bottom here at row 21 is I added Cascade AIDS Project. So to be consistent with all of the asks that you had of OHA, went in and looked at any budget areas that were not for direct client services, so any indirect or staff that did not supervise peers or direct clinical staff or housing staff, any of that. And Cascade AIDS Project or PRISM did apply to expand into additional service areas, and that those expansions were also taken out. And I'll say yet again, you asked me to do that simply to help an organization work within the confines of the new funding that's available. Not that they can't do any of this or that they can't pay for overhead or offices or executives, but that they could decide what the budget should look like in the end. But you did want to see that for helping deliberate reduced funding. So I'm really out of practice with this, but PRISM applied for not screening, but they did apply for assessments at 177, SUD at 1.6 million, peers at 1.5 million, housing at almost 5 million, and harm reduction at 47,000. Their program costs were $3 million. Their total budget application was just under $10 million, 9.86. And then we went through and did all of the reductions I just mentioned, bringing the total down to 2.98. So, and I can show you, I just can't do without scrolling all over. Column M is any admin or indirect. N is less service area expansion, and then O is the total reduction, and instituting that $5 million maximum for each applicant. And so that is what we've got here in M, N, O, and P. So the question at hand is, how would you all like to handle the consideration for this applicant to ensure equity and consistency between all of the other organizations you've already discussed, knowing that the total does pop over the formula maximum? And I'm going to zoom out a little bit unless somebody has questions specifically that you would like to see. Where do you want to start your conversation today? And do you have any questions about what's at hand?
Do we have access to the, can we hear more about the program? Like those questions that we did before in the review process?
In the review panel? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we do know that both of the reviewers did recommend funding these 5 service areas because it was all in green. And I did not rewatch any of the review panel proceedings, but we can go back in there and check it out. I can have either Kathy or Jason pull up the application if you have specific questions. We believe Cascade AIDS is not the CMHP for Multnomah County. Kathy, do you have question 7 available? Deb, do you want to the answer to question 7?
Yes. Would you like me to read question 7?
Yeah, that'd be good.
It's quite lengthy. Let me see if I can highlight it at all. This is a list of experience providing any of the following, which it sounds like they're answering actually question 8 on that. Because 8, they asked for all of the different various linguistic and cultural stuff.
Yeah, Kathy, it's actually, if you look at question 6, they're answering questions.
That's what I was just
renumbered. Yep.
Across the agency, Cascade AIDS Project provides a wide variety of culturally and linguistically specific services for LGBTQ plus people living and or affected by HIV. Cascade AIDS Project provides culturally specific services, navigation for Latine participants and in partnership with the Urban League, Black participants, and we provide bilingual Spanish and English, culturally and linguistically specific housing services and peer support to people living with HIV/AIDS.
Thanks, Kathy. Ryan, your hands up, and then Zeb will get back to the other 3 questions.
If we want to go to Zeb, I'm just wondering what the total percentage reduction would be for all the funded to just roll them in to the funded party.
Thank you. And to remind folks, the panel review process had a series of 5 questions. One was, are they the same fee? And reading question 7, which was about culture and linguistically specific services. And then the 3 following questions, which are, for substance use disorder, please affirm that the applicant is not wanting to pay for anything that is billable through Medicaid. Then the question after that is if they are applying for peers, are those peers integrated into the substance use disorder offerings or the housing programming? How are the peers integrated? And do those peers work in the field or work in the community or in the office, excuse me? And lastly, the question about, sorry, 2 more, housing. What type of housing is the applicant providing? Do they provide it themselves? Is it transitional housing? Is it rental assistance? Is it hotel vouchers? Is it permanent supportive housing? Is what level of housing programming? And finally, for harm reduction, what is the complete service array from wound care to no.
No, that's fine. Cascade AIDS Project Housing served approximately 650 unique households with emergency housing, so motel vouchers, eviction prevention, and they look at transitional and permanent supportive housing assistance. They
Hi, Kathy.
can bill.
Kathy,
What?
could I stop you for 1 second? I'm sorry.
Sure.
Jackie just joined the meeting, and then Jackie needs to declare a conflict. I'm sorry.
So I need to, I'll jump off camera. This is Multnomah County, right?
Yeah, it is.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Jackie, or NAR Northwest. Thanks, Zeb.
Yes, that's the.
All right. Cascade AIDS Project currently does not bill Medicaid or other insurances for the housing services it provides. It sounds like they do have the ability to bill, but they don't for housing. The Measure 110 funding will be used to cover the cost of services for those who do not have insurance and for those who have commercial insurance plans that non-licensed providers are not able to enroll in. So that's the Medicaid answer.
Okay, and the question about peers?
Peers is, our proposal includes funding for 6 peer support specialists who will provide culturally specific peer services. Due to limited workforce, we have not historically been able to provide consistent culturally specific peer services. Between 2023 and 2024, we provided peer support to 31 individuals across our primary care, mental health, and sub-programs. With full funding, a team of 6 peers will serve approximately 225 unique individuals over the 4-year grant period.
Thank you. Dharma?
Oh, I just wanted to express my biggest support for Cascades Project. As someone who is HIV positive and trying to access recovery services, it was extremely difficult. I probably got denied about 12 times at least, trying to find a inpatient rehab when I was first in recovery because I was HIV positive. And so there's a really significant need, I think, for these services because there can be a exaggerated notion of risk in taking in an HIV positive client, especially if they're not on vacation or different kinds of things, right? But it for not good reason. And so I think that I can't speak more to the need for these kinds of service providers. Thanks.
Kathy, I think our last hole to fill here with the 5 questions is harm reduction.
Their harm reduction, they provide MAT to 25 unique individuals, and with the Measure 110 funds, our integrated behavioral healthcare team will provide MAT, fentanyl test strips, and safe use supplies allowable by HRSA guidelines for up to 175 unique individuals. That's what they listed on here. I have not looked at their budget to see what was in there.
Thank you, Kathy. Any questions about kind of the high level overview for this application? Zeb, anything else you want to know?
No, I think you answered my questions. But everybody, please share if you have thoughts and questions on this.
And so coming back to Ryan, who wanted to see how to integrate proportionally reductions across the board. I see Jason is mapping over here. There you are on column U. I'm going to try to capture everybody here. There we go. While he is doing that. Kathy, do you have something else on the application to add?
Yes. When I look at the proposed budget under harm reduction, it is mainly for a family nurse practitioner. There is no purchasing of supplies underneath the harm reduction section. They do have it listed in their housing.
So they're providing harm reduction supplies for folks who are accessing their housing supports.
Correct.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments or questions? I see Zeb leaning in hard. I will zoom in a little more. Let me get up to the top here. And then Jason, I'd love to hand you the mic to just sort of summarize what you're seeing. There we go. Think that's good enough? Is that big enough? Sabrina.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, so the motion is what we already passed the last time, is that correct?
Yes, thank
And
you.
then, so we're just figuring out how, and if we're going to fund this organization, how we're going to do that moving forward, considering we already passed the previous motion, what we're going to do now.
That's exactly right.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, sorry. And yeah, so and that is correct, Sabrina. And then so yeah, in you, I was basically going back because the motion had a lot of additional things that we did, like you guys did after the 70% to sort of try to make things fair. But instead of trying to recreate all of that, I just started from basically recreating the 70% column, just figuring out how far we'd have to take people down, or how much we'd have to reduce everyone just to put Cascade Age Project into this group and get to the cap, and then maybe do some of the same, allow you to do some of that same stuff, looking at the percentage of asks that they're getting. I think that's kind of what Ryan was asking, but I'm not sure. I wasn't sure how to recreate all the plus 500 and divide the remainder because Cascade Age Project wasn't part of that logic at that point. So that is what U is right now, would be how we would, if we added Cascade Age Project, so we have the same group, all the existing people plus a African refugee immigrant organization, we'd have to bring it down to 65% of the ask basically to get to cap. And then you can see that's in U, and you can see in V what percentage that is of existing ask, and want to call out some of the places that you did special math before, like to try to even things out. You had pulled some money from Bridges to Change, just going through. We were adding, let's see, what were we doing?
I dropped the previous motion into the chat.
Okay, thank you. Putting some money, I think, yeah, taking some money out of Going Home, as well as MAHO. And I think it was, I'm trying to remember I think it was the peer support people. Is that what it was? The peer support group that there was some money being taken out of to create money for some of the other. I wish
We added back in the African refugee.
Right. No, I'm just trying to, because there was some people were getting money added back in, and then some people were losing money. And I think it was because of the amount of peer support. I'm just trying to get back to the logic of how we got to the last motion, because the numbers it's not necessarily obvious when you're just looking at the numbers.
Sabrina?
Yeah, can we scroll all the way back to the first provider on the list just because? So in theory, we're going just because the Bridges to Change number went higher on line 170 from 2.6 million to what is that, 3? I'm trying to see it. On column U.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I was trying to call out. So last time, Bridges to Change, you guys pulled some money, additional money from them to create money for other people. There was a few, and I think it was some of the big peer support providers. If I'm remembering, like Bridges to Change is asking for 6.9 million in peer support. One of the concerns that the council was addressing is just that there is um, maybe a disproportionate amount of ask in the peer support service area in this county, given the amount being asked 100 million, almost 100 million in peer support alone versus some of the others. So I think that's why that's what I was saying. I didn't recreate that math when I created column U, where you were pulling some of the money out of the peer support. I don't know how the best for us to go about that so that we're doing it the way you want me to. I don't want to just make assumptions, I guess.
Yeah, I think we do because we have an additional provider with, an important ask. We need to make sure that we're, reconsidering the county as a whole. Let's go. Amy's hand is up first. Amy, can you hear me? Oh, there you are.
No, I couldn't hear you. You froze for a minute. I think that was one of my concerns was that there was so much of a large ask for peer support. And as Burns, there, I appreciate all the peers. It's not that it's not important because it's very dear to my heart. But when we're having to look at, the vast areas, that seemed to me to be one of the areas, because it is a billable service now, some of it's not, but I mean, it just seemed like there was everybody, had their hand in it, and that's fine, but as a burn, they function together. So that's why I was like, maybe we could reduce that column a little bit. And I know that was one of my thoughts.
Thank you, Amy. Sabrina.
Yeah, and did we have money left over from one county that we said that we can use it somewhere else? And then also, yeah, I'm interested if there's a over surplus, and I love peer support just as much as the next person, but if that's a place where we can cut some money back at a percentage to help fund the other organization, I'd be in favor of that.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to highlight column G. I know it doesn't highlight very well, but you can see all of the peer support asks there, so you can consider those.
So, we meticulously went over this county and it was tremendously hard, just like the other counties. Alternative stuff makes me uncomfortable because I see that the value's changing for organizations that we came up with a consensus that we're all comfortable with. I don't know. I don't know if I'm on the same page with Ryan or not, but I was just wondering because like it seemed like when you guys made the initial, like you looked at it and you did the caps and blah blah blah, it like their final was like 22% of their ask. I don't know if that's accurate or not, but I thought I saw the number 20, like a 22% um somewhere in there, like after the caps.
Yeah, and Zeb, this might help answer the question. I tried to highlight, so in the motion, the dark
Yeah,
where it says where it's dark orange,
yeah.
those are people that you guys pulled out a 500,000 flat, and then they split an additional deduction the first time around. The lighter orange is where everyone just split the additional deduction. So those were like, and I believe all of them are peer support. So that's why you'll see all of those numbers are going up when I just do a straight 65% because you haven't done that sort of thing. And then if we
Yeah.
scroll down just a little bit more, uh, I highlighted Yasmin's love because last time we added money back into them.
So I was wondering, and you can tell me if this is possible or not, or what people are thinking. Can we just take what we had exactly and then just with that final like that number of 2.9 88 there, and that's is if I'm reading that correct, that's 22% of their original ask at the bottom, the Cascade Age project on line 212. Or is that just from one category, that 2.988?
I'm not sure. Are you talking like Q27, 207?
Q212.
So
Yes, yes, yes. Sorry. It's the same. Yeah, yep,
okay.
that's the same number. Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's
that's them after the deductions at 70%. Correct.
okay. And if we could just across the board, since we already set what we thought, if we can just deduct, and I don't know what the math would be, a percentage from each organization, if that would like the 2.988 level.
Are you saying basically like divide if there's, well, how many are,
Way so we didn't have to redo the whole county because we did put a lot of work into that, and then this shares it equally, like but I'm open to other people's thoughts.
That makes sense to me, Zeb. I like that line of thinking too, because I think it integrates them more into like the what the thought process we had before and what we had agreed on before, as opposed to going some other way with it. So I'm in agreement with that. I want to see how it ends up, but yeah.
Thanks, Norma. Morgan.
Same. I think that makes a lot of sense.
so I guess the only, actually, never mind. Never mind. That makes sense. Yes, I got it.
Thanks, Jason.
Um, so that is column U now. In the, oh yeah, There we go.
All right, I'm gonna zoom way in so folks can see. There
And
we
then as normal, the column V would be the percent of their original ask, if that.
So Jason, that's when an equitable decrease between each. So I think what I want to make sure I'm articulating, so just, kind of reflecting a bit, is that taking that reduced budget for Prism Cascade AIDS project and distributing it equitably among everybody does potentially create this, I don't know, is the right word, but you'll see in column S, the amounts vary pretty a lot is what I decided to say. But you've got, going home to at 3 million, MHAO at 3 million, Miracles 3 million, all of those oranges, and you've got some other partners that have much smaller budgets. And you are the OAC, you get to make your decisions. I just want to make sure I'm highlighting that so you're going into that with your eyes wide open. So for example, you'll see here's a small budget, Metro Plus, going from 59% to 54 because their budget, their preliminary approved award was 881, and then it goes down to 800. So because it's an equitable reduction across the board, not a proportional reduction across the board, it's going to impact smaller organizations in a bigger way. And then just so you are aware, and that's why you're seeing the change in percentage across the board. Dharma?
That makes sense, Abby. Thank you for bringing that up. I think that I'm wondering where we can set a cap at to where we would take that proportional cut from. Do you know what I mean? Like to get to not take to go back from you into S and then taking the could we take the percentage to meet the costs for Cascades project starting at like the $2 million cap? So for ones that were funded at $2 million or more, would that be a do you know what I'm saying? Like instead of taking it from all 37, just taking it from the ones that were funded at, we could either go by a percentage or is it a dollar amount? I don't know which one would be better, but would that resolve what you were saying, Abby? Sorry.
I
Or maybe get at it more.
And
Jason,
one other question I have is, should we also be making the same deduction from Cascade Age project? Because they're all starting from like a 70% after deductions. Should they actually be taking that same hit everyone else is from their ask?
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I guess I don't want it to
Yeah.
look like they're getting an advantage because they got missed early or whatever and are coming in late.
Yep, I think everyone agrees so far. We weigh in if you disagree, please. Otherwise, thinking about a way to distribute the reduction across the board with more equity, Dharma raised having a cap, no pun intended, having a maximum or a minimum. So, if someone's award, I think Dharma mentioned $2 million and over, those would be the folks who would share the burden of reducing their overall budgets to help ensure that Cascade AIDS project gets funding. Are there other suggestions that the council would like to see that we can, Lee meeting Jason can math together? Morgan?
This would be tedious mathematically, but we could start from the column with the percentage and reduce an additional, say, 3% of their ask, which would have, and then that would create a dollar value, and we'd have to go organization by organization because it would be changing. Am I making sense? Essentially try to figure out what the dollar value reduction would be to get them an additional 3% below their ask, or whatever percent we think would get us there, and then take that equally from every organization. And the actual, does that make sense? So that it would drop everyone 3% of their total ask. But I can't think of another way to do that mathematically than one by one. or whatever percent makes sense here. I can't quite get a feel for it.
Other thoughts?
I have a question for Morgan. And so would we still have a cap at $2 million, or would we equally, I mean, take it the same percentage away from everybody?
I mean, I was thinking everybody, but if you want to just do the $2 million cap, I think that makes sense too. Then just do a proportional reduction from the people above 2 million. Yeah, both of those make sense to me. The 2 million cap one would be probably easier and then would only impact larger organizations to sort of preserve the smaller funding.
Other thoughts from other council members who haven't chimed in yet? Who are able to participate? Dharma?
Sorry, in thinking about it more, I think that it feels like it might make sense more on the percentage side than the dollar amount. I apologize. I know that I apologize. In thinking through it now, it makes more sense because of but I guess we'll have to see what it looks like afterwards on those percentages, but
So what if we did this? Jason, are you able to add yet another column, and do a percentage decrease based on what feels realistic in terms of getting everybody an equitable percentage decrease? And we can see how that looks, and then folks can decide whether that's the right move, or if you want to keep the smaller organizations whole. Or smaller grants whole, remember this is a 4-year grant, and just retain the reductions to the larger amounts. I think y'all need something to look at before you dive headlong into, yeah, this is the way we're gonna make it work. Does that sound reasonable? Except for
Yeah.
Jason, do it all. Okay. Go ahead, Leticia.
I just wanted to mention, I think it's already been said, but making sure that Cascade AIDS Project also has the same reductions that were applied to the other organizations when the motion was made for column S. That's it.
Jason, this is borderline algebra. Do you need any, are you doing okay?
Yeah, sorry, was trying to think of how to do it, and then I think I've got my brain twisted to where I'm not even sure what I'm trying, like my goal is anymore, because so I just want to make sure what I'm doing. So we're just setting it up so that we can play with what percentage everyone would need to have deducted, excluding anyone, like, but with the percentage only coming out of those who are over $2 million in ask. Is that what I'm setting up?
I
Did I
think we're
say that?
starting with like, what is a 2% reduction across the board, everybody? And getting a sense of what that, if that
No
comes,
cap?
is that right?
that would be getting a 2% reduction from the percentages that are in column V. Or no, I'm sorry, column T.
It would be reducing the total amounts in column U by the equitable amount, whether it's 1%, 2%, to get to 80.5 million,
Well,
including
column
that.
U is already at 80.5.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we had voted on column
But
S, right? And the percentages that align with column S is column T. So I think it would be reducing 2% from the percentages in column T.
Morgan?
I think let's just see what a 2% across the board looks like and how that affects column T. That might be a better place to start.
sorry, when you say 2% across the board, from which starting at what?
Um, can you go up to the column headers, please? Uh, so you.
So let's go back. I think we're getting lost. I know I'm getting lost. So column U is an equitable number reduction to incorporate Cascade AIDS project within the county allotted formula amount, which negatively impacted the smaller organizations because it was I don't need too much math. But everybody got the same dollar decrease, even those with smaller budgets. So there was disparity there. So I think the work at hand is looking at column S and doing a proportional reduction, an equitable percentage reduction rather than, because does S come to a formula? No, S does not, because it doesn't include Cascade project. And what would a 1 or a 2% reduction of all of the budgets in column S look like? Would it still get us to formula and have less of a negative impact on the smaller grants? Leticia?
So if we scroll down to Cascade AIDS project, what would I just want to make sure their percentage is brought down and we make the same cuts we did to the other organizations. And then I agree with what you were saying, Abby, about column S.
So looking at Q207 here, the 2.98, that would be a revised award for Cascade AIDS project, which is all of the, let me scroll back up, there's just a lot of places to scroll, and includes the 70%. I need to make sure that, yeah, there it is. I see in the formula, it's 0.7 times the amount. So that is a 70%.
I think Jason needs a raise. Somebody get this man a raise. I,
For what percentage raise? I'm sorry.
Hey, Jason, I think
Yeah.
something's wrong in the formula.
Yeah. No,
Yeah,
that's what I was just finding.
okay. Do we, I would hate to be the person who's doing live math in front of dozens of people. Do we want to like take and let, and I'll just like take 5 minutes to get some water and just chill out for a minute? Okay, so
yeah,
it's
sounds great.
2:26, let's come back at 2:30. I'm
And of
here
course,
for
I
you,
just
Jason.
figured it out once you said that, but
Oh, well, great. Now you get a break too.
thank you.
I appreciate you, Jason. I see now, so, okay. So, 2% gets to under 80. Okay. You might want to, while people are taking a big look at like 1.8 or kind of what it is just to get it to net zero.
So it's 1% that's getting it to 79, just under. So yeah,
Okay.
0.8 maybe.
Great. Thank you, thank you.
There you go.
There it is.
Jason, I'm going to still the screen just to put up a slide saying we'll be back.
Oh, go for it.
Awesome,
Yeah.
thanks, Carly.
Which column were you looking at, Jason? Was that the U or the W?
W is the percentage based one.
Oh, okay. I didn't see any numbers in there for Cascade AIDS. That's why I
Yeah,
was,
something's wrong still with that. That's what I
All right.
need to still fix.
yeah.
All right, so we've got time. All right,
Yep.
I'm going to step away. I'll see you guys in 2 minutes.
There we go. Thank you.
Two 2:30 it is. Great. We're back. We've got numbers. I'll share my screen. Thank you, Jason. And we'll finish this up. Okay, I'm gonna zoom in a little bit. So we are working on column W. And just to reset everybody, originally y'all passed motion here in column S and wanted to keep that calculus the same because you all reorganized some of the funding a little bit. And made an additional reduction, first with the same dollar amount across the board with the flat reduction in column U, and then made a percent of deduction, which is column W. And the column W, hold on real quick, we're gonna get down here, gets to within the formula amount. And Jason, it was a what percentage reduction?
Well, for some reason I put it 2 columns over, but it's 3.5%. That's what's getting it down to being just 65,000 over.
Okay, so it's a 3.5% reduction from the original motion that includes the reduction of cap. Yeah,
Yes, exactly.
great. And you see the column X is the reduction there. And we're just going to take a minute and we're going to go look just a little bit all the way down.
Dollar amount and W is the percentage deduction.
Folks can see it's a reduction, but it's modest. All the way down to Cascade Aids. And the new organization, African Refugee Immigrant Organization. Any questions, Deb?
Well, I like the looks of that. I guess it just depends on what we want to do about that $65,000.
It looks like Jason is preemptively doing some additional math to help you all get down to the dollar amount.
Yeah, if I make it 3.6, it actually gets down to 17,000 under.
I have a possible motion I can put in the chat if you want me to. I won't do it until you say yes, so.
Are there any, and I can zoom out, folks tell me what you want to see. And please weigh in so we can reflect your needs and wants, Dharma.
Sorry, so when we originally did this, the original one, can you scroll down to the bottom? I'm sorry.
Okay.
53%. Did we voted to pass Yazine's at 8% of their original ask? Is that right?
It's 13%.
13%. Okay.
Yep.
And y'all voted to pass African Refugee Immigrant Organization at their full award, full amount, because it was a very modest application. Y'all kept it whole. But now they're also getting some reductions as well too.
Oh, I see. Because I don't think they were counted in our first round of reductions before, were they? When we first voted them in, right?
No, y'all voted them in at 100% here in column T, like Tom.
I see.
And if I remember correctly, so Yazine's Love, their total ask was 16 million. And 10 million, I believe was a service area expansion, so much bigger let me just say this, all of the expansions are amazing. I wish there were enough funds for all existing providers to expand and do and continue and grow their amazing work. However, you all wanted to see organizations at least continue with what they have been doing because there was no way to continue to spread the funds around any more broadly than that, obviously. So that's why that is so low, Dharma. Any other questions, clarifications? What can I show you?
Anybody got any ideas about that 17,000? Do we want to give that, I mean, ourselves, or do we leave that to OHA and negotiations? So
Is it an overage?
that's a underage, right?
It's an overage, 17,000 over
Oh,
right now. Yeah.
okay.
Or I mean underage. Sorry. Yeah, you have 17,000. My brain's being twisted around now. I'm not even sure what an overage or underage means anymore. But yeah, it's 17,000 you could still give out. Let's just say it that way to be clear.
I guess I would want to see it go back to the African immigrant organization on the top.
I'd agree with that.
Other thoughts? Oops, there we go. And that would bring, oh, Jason's still mapping. I see the 3 dots. Never mind.
So what would the motion be then? I mean, I'm sure it'd be simple, just if once you do that, then it would be making a motion to fund Multnomah County as represented in column. I cannot see it. Would that be what we would say?
Yeah.
What column is it?
You'd call him W. And I
Uh,
would want to articulate
okay.
African Refugee Immigrant Organization. That's done. Jason, that math, the 17,000 overage, just put it in their bucket, right? Is 98. Their funding is at 98% of their ask. And I'm going to zoom out. There you go. That would be new motion. We need a new color. We've like used all the colors in column W.
So is it in the chat, the motion?
Yes.
So I would like to make a motion to approve funding Multnomah County at column W, 3.6% reduction under existing providers, adding African refugee and includes Cascade Aid project.
I second that. That's Hubert.
Thank you, Hubert. Amy makes a motion. Hubert seconds. Discussion. Okay, Carla, can you do a vote, please?
Yes. Me has a conflict. So Amy, how do you vote?
Yes.
Is Caroline here? I don't think so. Dharma,
Yes.
Hubert, is Hubert, if you can't unmute, you can put it in the chat.
Yes.
Oh, thank you. Hunter is not here. Jackie has a conflict. Keisha has a conflict. Leticia.
Yes. Sorry, yes.
Thank you. And Linda has a conflict. Mason, don't believe they're here. Melissa,
Yes.
thank you. Morgan,
Yes.
thank you. Ryan,
Yes.
thank you. Sabrina,
Yes.
thank you. And Zeb.
Yes.
And that passes with 9.
Thank you, everybody. That concludes your business for today. I'll hand it back to Zeb.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for putting in that hard work. Feels good. Anybody got any last comments or thoughts before we give you your time back? Sabrina?
Yeah, I just had a question about if we're going to get updates as the appeal process goes on, would they start to roll out a little bit more? And will that be on our possibly at our future OAC meetings?
Yes, I believe that's a question for me. Yes, of course. As soon as I have any updates for you all, I will bring them to you. Absolutely. And I raised my hand also to tell folks if people are and those will be coming out as soon as we can get the ink to dry, but it's digital, so as soon as possible.
All right. And thank you, Carly, behind the scenes, Jason, Abby, everybody else. I can't see. Great work today.
Thank you, Zeb.
Thanks, Zeb.